and buy a beverage, and I said, cold beverage. And there was this lady that I've seen before over at Walmart Auto, and trying to get service on her car in front of everybody else and all that kind of thing. She was real strange. She had a big dog in the car, and uh, she looks like 100 years old, but she may have like cancer of the jaw or something, and it's rotting out, and she appears to have no teeth. I don't know. Um, and she's got long hair, but she drives a car that's pretty clean. It's real shiny white, kind of like a Mercury, like a Marquis, like the old police cars. So she all of a sudden walks across the parking lot, and the last time I saw her, she had a big dog in the car with her and everything else. And but anyway, she gets out of the car, walks all the way across the parking lot with what looked like a lottery thing and a wallet. And that's my alarms to wake her up and stuff. Anyway, she uh, went over and knocked on the car window at the driver's side on a car that was about 40 to 50 feet away from her car that she walked over to, and they wouldn't open the window. And then she went around the other side of the car and was knocking on the window and trying to talk to somebody. Two guys come out of the gas station, and they are trying to get in the car, and she's still carrying on with whatever it is she's doing. And I thought, well, maybe she knew them, but why wouldn't they park next to her car? You know, if they knew each other. So then, I want my trusty camera out. I take pictures of the car, and I've got it ready. She's looking right at me. My car was kind of in between the car she went to and her car, and she comes walking right over, and she says, "Hey, honey, uh, can you give me some gas money?" And I was taking, trying to take pictures of her. She kept dodging the camera. "What are you doing?" And I said, "What are you doing?" And she took off, went to go get in her car, and then she took the car and moved it over about 20 spaces and sat there for a minute. I went in and showed a friend of mine that runs that gas station. I showed her the pictures and stuff. And she says, "I know who that is." And I just thought it was interesting because, you know, I love how they ask for stuff if they need help, but they don't use it for that. And when my daughter and I, when we traveled on the road to work and stuff, we were at one gas station at like a really small truck stop or something. And we were sitting in the car looking at our map. I don't see this car around here. I might have spooked her. And there was this couple. They were probably about 35 years old each, and they had a giant gas can. They had a little tiny car that was parked that they kept going to, and the guy would go up to the gas pumps to every single customer and say, "Hey man, I need gas," and hold this gas can up, a huge gas can. And people kept giving him money. He'd just spend like, all the time we were there. We were there probably about an hour because we went in and got a cold beverage, and we were, working on our map and our plan of what we're going to do, on the way on our trip and everything. And we sat there and watched these people doing this shady crap. And everybody wants to help them. They think they're doing a great thing, helping them. And I'm telling you, there's such a large percentage of the time, there's no helping. that you're just feeding their drug habit or their lottery habit or their liquor habit. And it's really sad, you know. These people need to go get a job and, possibly get rehab and everything. Um, that looks like her car right there. I'll bet sure as heck it is. And I don't think she's homeless because I haven't seen the car around. Because sometimes I'm here in the night. There's that dog. So the tag reads Florida QSLM16. Sure as hell that's her. That's the woman. The fan's a little bit tweaked on the car. She had duct tape on one corner the other day. But that is her. Can't get through that building. Looks like you can't get in. But yeah, so I guess she's gonna hang out to get enough money to buy whatever it is. That's beautiful. And this woman, she looks like she's freaking 100 years old, and she's probably. I've seen a woman like this in Dothan. There's a relative to somebody I knew him, and when she went in the hospital, she used to wear a turban all the time. She had hair past her butt, beautiful long hair. She used to be a real pretty lady. And her husband was a trucker, real nice guy, nice looking man. They owned their own house, and he was on the road like 85% of the time. And this woman, she started looking really sick, and teeth turning black and falling out, and she would wear this turban all the time. What looked like a turban, which was probably a dress or something, and then wrap it around her head. And she was just so tiny because she had lost so much weight. And not all the time, if you're doing, meth and a lot of drugs, you don't have to be super skinny and rotting away and skeleton looking. Because sometimes people are heavy or overweight. So don't let it fool you. But she was just rotting away and just a skeleton, and would wear that turban, which was almost as big as her completely, on her head. And somebody told me, I said, why does she wear that turban thing all the time? Is that just, a thing she does, or is she part Arabic or something? And because, some people have their thing, they want to wear bell bottoms, or they want to wear tie-dye shirts all the time, or they like their head shaved. Nobody in the house would help her brush her hair. So it's all matted up, and she won't cut it off. And so it just sits on her head in a mat, and she uses whatever she can to cover it up and look stylish. And so, anyway, she went to the hospital, was supposed to die. Oddly enough, they cut her loose. And then she went in the hospital again and was in there about 4 or 5 months in the local hospital in Dothan. And I can't remember if she actually died or not. And I said, well, she's, pretty old, right? And they were like, no, she is only 37 years old. I said, you were lying. Are you sure we're talking about the same person? Because she looks like she's, 77, 80, something like that. And they said, no, it's the drugs. And she just is so wrapped up in the drugs, doing the meth and all that garbage stuff. Meth is bad to begin with because it burns brain cells. And, your brain doesn't grow back. So if you're stupid enough to do meth, you're an idiot. because you will be brainless. When they say brainless, you definitely will be. Why don't you people move? Fucking traffic. So, yeah, it's a sad thing when people resort to that. Drugs don't solve anything. I've got a coworker right now that's jacked up on Oxycontin and liquor, and that's really bad news. It's like, you have to have serious rehab to try to get off that. You are just done. It's almost as bad as shooting heroin. Um, it actually probably is. I'm not a big pro on drugs because I'm not a drug person. Um, I have better things in life to do than play with drugs because you can't get anywhere in life if you're wasting your money on dope. I dated a guy for a short time, and he was selling everything out of his house. He owned his own pool business. He had a beautiful pool that he built in the backyard in his house in Huntsville, and he was just the neatest guy. And he used to have money. His wife passed away from cancer of the brain very rapidly. In like 3 months, it was really sad. The love of his life, and he just kind of went downhill from there. And but the nicest guy in the world, great personality. And I would come down, one week to work in Huntsville, and then he's like, well, I said, well, what happened to that? Oh, I sold it. What happened to that? I sold it. He called me one day. I was busy working other cities and working up north, doing Fayetteville, Tennessee, and uh, in Kentucky and stuff. And I was making a lot of money in the winter, the dead of the winter, around those areas. So I didn't have as much time to get to Huntsville. So I might go down once a month or once every 2 months. And he called me one day. I hadn't been down there in like a month or so. And he called me up and said, hey, baby, what you doing? Da, 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 da. I was sitting on the porch of Adam's house. And when my feet kicked up, and I was doing some construction work on the front of the house, replacing steps, I guess, that day. And so I kicked back, talked to him for a little bit. He's a really nice guy. And I said, so how's it going? He's going, well, I haven't had much money. And he did a pool cleaning business and service business, and he would build pools. And it just, I guess, just got to the point where he just didn't feel like working, and uh, he just had no money. Uh, and so he's like, well, I really need tires on my truck. They're really bald. And it's like dead of the winter. You don't want to be driving in the Huntsville area in the dead of the winter, especially up near Hazel Green and stuff like that. The road's iced down and it's really dangerous. And he has a big pickup truck, and he says, I really need tires for my truck. Can you help me? And I said, well, I don't know what to tell you. He said, well, I sold my stereo, and then I sold this, and then he's telling me all this stuff he sold for pennies on the dollar, like the crack sale. And I then realized that he was messed up bad, because his judgment call on his money was not good. And the next time I went down, he was really in bad shape. He had like no food in the house. All he had left of any value was a Harley motorcycle that he loved so much. And we literally were sitting on the ground in the back of the house just talking. And he's like, well, I guess I'll be going to jail. And he got in some kind of trouble. And he's a grown man, you know. It's so beautiful. So uh, he, uh, I'm like, well, how much are tires? And he's like, well, it's about $400. And I said, well, I can't do it. Um, I said, but I'll be back down to Huntsville soon, When he called that one day, and then I saw him after that, and he was so bad off, he'd sold almost everything out of the house. All his prized possessions, his thousands and thousands of dollars, stereo, and all that. And I don't even think he had the truck anymore. I think all he had was that Harley. And was sitting there talking about they were going to pick him up to take him to jail. So he was trying to get things finished up. He owned that house outright. He had one daughter that lived like up in Memphis. And uh, he just thought the world of her, and he uh, said something about putting the house in his daughter's name or something, so the state wouldn't take it. And, I mean, he had a nice little house in a really good section of Huntsville, Alabama, um, that he owned. But it was really sad, man. You know, when you see somebody and they try to talk to you like they're okay, and you know, uh, like they're supposed to have it together or whatever, and it's just hard times, and it's like because they didn't make the effort. My daughter worked at a gas station for a minute, and she would tell me about all these, we call them famous homeless people. They're professional workers. they they go around begging at a regular spot every day from such and such time to such and such time. Then they walk over or ride a bicycle over to the next spot, and they go beg over there, and it's like a whole ritual for the entire day. And then we watch the guy walking down the road, and I said, "Isn't that guy right there?" And he had a stack of money that he had up in the air. He was counting while he was walking, and I'm like, "What the heck?" And she said that these like so-called famous beggars, they would come in the store and they would spend all their money on like beer, cigarettes, and lottery, just continual. As soon as they got money from people, they would just come in there and buy stuff, and they go out there and beg some more. And then you couldn't even feed them; they didn't want to eat. You know, I say, "Oh, I'm hungry. I'm homeless," and people would feel sorry for them and think they did a wonderful thing that day for helping somebody. I'm telling you, the real homeless don't beg. You will never see a real serious homeless person like pushing a grocery cart full of their worldly belongings, or have a backpack and two other bags they're carrying around, and no car. You don't ever see them standing around with a cardboard roll up sign they're stuffing in their back pocket when the police come that says, "Please help, I'm homeless, I'm a homeless vet. Please help, I have children, hungry, out of gas." You don't see the real people doing that. They don't ask for nothing because they've been so cast off from the world for whatever reason. They may have serious problems like that, those mental problems from the military or whatever else, and they just don't function well, around the general public in most jobs. And there are jobs for people, no matter what, even a burnout. If they put their act together, get off the dope, get off the liquor, there's a job you can do. Even if you have very little brains left because you wasted them all on bad drugs, there's always some kind of job you can do. Walmart has greeters. It'd be somebody standing or sitting on a chair at the front door that says hello. They have greeters at the McDonald's. They call them like a hospitality host or something, or hospitality ambassador or some crap. And they sit and uh, uh, greet people and pick up, trash off tables, you know, and sometimes put toilet paper in the bathroom. But there's always some kind of job for somebody. And if this sucker scrapes my freaking bumper, pulling around me like an idiot, my bumper's so tore up from idiots like that. They be dragging trailers or RVs around my car and trash my stuff up, and I just keep on going. Um, but anyway, yeah, it's really sad. But my daughter told me, she said, "God, they just spend money incessantly. With all the money they make, they could have a place to live. You know, um, but they won't get off the dope, and it's a game. You know, I know that I've told this story before where there's uh, a guy that used to go beg out at the brand new truck stop out by the old Lucky 7 truck stop that used to be out in the Mossy Head area. And they tore that all down. That was a neat truck stop. And tore it all that down and built that new one out there, that Pilot Flying J, whatever it is out there. And so uh, this guy was out there begging, standing at the front, and the managers chase him around all the time. They don't want him out there. And it's a tourist stop because they come off the expressway and it's all tourists, and they'll beg to all these tourists and they'll give it to them, and then they never see that person again. But it's a regular ritual. They come like every day, like a job. And so the one day the manager was, had told me, the manager was telling me the story, and he's like, it's a game. These people aren't even really homeless. I'm like, what are you talking about? So there's this guy. He'd come every day like clockwork. He said he'd go in the bathroom, dirty himself up, put on trashy, nasty clothes, and he'd first come in a suit, and he'd drive a really expensive car, a Beamer or something, and he'd park it, and then come in and sit, go in the bathroom, change his clothes to look bummy, and dirty himself up and jack his hair up, and then he'd go out begging to people, and they'd give him all kinds of money, and so uh, he told him, he said, you can't do that here. We do not permit, soliciting of any kind, panhandling, any of that, and you're not doing business here, so legally you're a trespasser. You need to go. And why on earth do you do it? I've seen you come in here in a suit, in the nice car and everything. And the guy said he was something like, car salesman or worked with a corporate or something. He said, I make more money here begging than I do at my job. And how do you like that? How retarded is that? Now, see, if I went and did that, and I had a little cardboard sign on the street, even if it was true and I needed gas, uh, there would probably be 20 people who would stop and go, hey, Red, what are you doing? You know? And they'd think I'd lost my mind, And I'm working two great jobs right now. I'm okay. I don't need any begging. I don't need to do any of that, and I haven't had to do it before. But uh, you know, uh, I guess it's a point of pride, just to just stand out with the general public and have a sign and let people hand you money because you want to eat or gas. I mean, I've sat in parking lots for 2 and 3 days with no fuel. I've sat 3 days with no food, and here she is again, and she sees my car. Look at this woman just come back around here, and she sees my car. And that white Mercury. money for gas. And again, she didn't put any gas in the car. But, and she sat in the car. And so I caught the guy, and he had stopped and decided to go back to see what number that pump was. And one of the workers from the store was doing some stuff around the back of the store. And I asked the gentleman, I said, excuse me, do you know that lady? He said, no, she needs gas. I said, she's been doing that for about an hour over here. And I said, she's not getting gas. She just keeps begging from people. He goes, really? And I said, yeah. I said, you do what you want with your money, but I'm just telling you. So I went over to tell my friend who manages his store. I said, because she said, if you ever see her again, you let me know, so I can pick it up on camera because I think I know who it is. And I said, sure. She says, I won't have them harassing my customers, which are mostly tourists, you know. And uh, so uh, the worker, I said, that's that woman right there in that white car. He said, really? Parked on that pump 16? I said, yep. And he said, oh my gosh. And so I went into the store and I said, hey, that lady's out there right now um, begging from people putting gas in their car. She's not even got out of the car. And she said, no way is she can run out that door. And the lady was trying to pull off all of a sudden. And she told her, she says, hey, you're not to come back on this property. Because she's got real good video over here of license plate numbers and all that. And, you know, they do that because they'll have extremely good systems in gas stations. Because, uh, you know, in case people steal ice or they steal gas or whatever, they just turn that over to the sheriffs. They got video proof. And especially if you steal gas in a gas station, I know there's several states where if they catch you stealing gas, your driver's license is automatically revoked. So, not a good thing. But yeah, so I don't know, but uh, you know, it's a sad way to go. Sad way to go. But anyway, hope you guys have a great one, and I'll see you in the next one. Do something kind for a stranger that really needs help, or some nice, kind words. Don't be fooled. And show the love, and we'll see you in the next one, I promise.